Hi everyone, I am going to go through today with you how to make some fluffy pancakes ready for Shrove Tuesday, which is on the 16th of February, or you might choose to just make them for breakfast or maybe even for Valentine's Day if you were thinking of doing something special for your family, and there are different ways you could make it more themed for that. So to just run through, all that is needed for this recipe is 250 grams of self-raising flour so that it has that rise to it. If you want the traditional sort of more crepe ones, the flat pancakes, plain flour will do the job. 250 millilitres of milk, 1 egg, and then one thing I did forget out is a pinch of salt. If you don't have weighing scales or a measuring jug, it is easily done with a cup. As long as you use the same cup for the flour and your milk, your pancakes will still turn out the same. So in my mixing bowl I've got my flour, I'm going to pour in my milk and then my 1 egg, and I'm going to whisk this all together, and I'm going to whisk it until I've got a smooth, thick batter. And I'm using an electric whisk for this. If you don't have an electric whisk, a hand whisk will do the job. So I'm just going to get on with that now. So that's come together quite quickly, but what I'm going to do is just make sure I've got mixture off the sides that haven't got mixed in with that whisk, so that I'm not wasting any of my ingredients. And then I'll give it another whisk up and just make sure it's all nice and smooth. Just be safe when using your electric whisk that you've got those whisks in properly and securely. Test it before you start it in the mixture, and then if needed to be, please be supervised by an adult so that nothing can go wrong, and that you make sure your cord isn't wrapped around anything. So I've got a really thick batter, so it's going to make some really good thick pancakes. I'm just going to get that excess off of those whisks again, so I'm not losing any mixture, not having too much in the way of waste. Next thing to consider is the pan that you use, so a frying pan, preferably if you've got a good non-stick pan, and that way we're not adding too much oil to the pancakes to help them cook, because that oil's then there to stop them sticking to that frying pan. I've also, as I'm just using a plug-in electric hob for this, for my setup, I've just got that on low at the moment so that we're not waiting too long for it to get hot. So I'm just going to put that out this way. So I've got that nice thick batter. If you were thinking of coming up with other ideas for this, you could go with adding a bit of food colouring to it if you're going for a Valentine theme, so pink or red, or simply by just putting in some raspberries or strawberries if you cut those up, and that will colour it vividly, and then add some more nutritional value to it, or even some blueberries if you wanted to. I will be adding some chocolate chips to mine, but I'm going to be doing that once they're going into the frying pan. So I'm just going to put that to one side so that I can bring this hob in to the screen, and then I've got my non-stick frying pan. I'm just going to put a little bit of oil. So I'm just using a spray oil, so that'll just stop me from using too much. And then what I'm going to do is just give it a minute to get hot. As I said, I've got the hob on, but we can do a test to check that whether our pancake batter is hot enough for it, and that we just use a little sacrificial bit to check that it's hot enough, which at this point I know is going to be way off because I've only just popped it onto the heat. That is some very thick batter that I've managed to create there. So you're going to give it a couple minutes to start cooking on that one side, and then with your fish slice you're going to then flip it over. Or you might refer to it as a slotted turner, as it's got the slots, but it is traditionally called a fish slice. So I can hear it starting to sizzle that little bit. So with that oil and the fact it's quite a good non-stick, I've been able to flip it over very easily, but it's not even gone golden brown yet, so it's flipped over, and now I'm just going to let that little bit get going, just giving me the indication that I am able to start pouring some batter into the frying pan ready to cook my pancakes. Now you could go for a big pancake, so to fill the whole frying pan, or you could go for much smaller ones. It's up to you. So I could just use my spoon that I'm using, or if you want to, I mean, I'm going to possibly use a serving spoon also, so if I was going for bigger pancakes. So I'm just going to just pour that on. And I'm going to leave it at that, and I'm going to put more on because we need it to cook. So these are very thick pancakes, so you're going to want to let them to cook for a couple of minutes on one side first before flipping them, to ensure that they're not then doughy in the middle. And don't overfill your pan with too many. Now ideally I should have gone clockwise with this, so I knew which one was in first. But I seem to have gone anti-clockwise instead, and I haven't got very round pancakes either. But that doesn't matter, it's all the fun in the cooking. So if I take out that little sample piece now, you can see it's starting to golden brown on that other side, so I'm going to leave it for a bit longer. So that's an indication that these need a bit longer in that frying pan to cook before we even look at flipping them over. I mean, with that nice non-stick that I've got, I can move them about, but they're very not ready to then be flipped. So giving them that time. And if it's not set, we can get that chocolate chip into them if you wanted to, or fudge pieces, or maybe Skittles. If putting chocolate chips in, when you do come to flip it over, you will find that it might burn a bit more because they're sitting a bit on the top. I lost one. There we go. So let's go for flipping it over. There we go. Nice golden brown happening now. I'm going to go for flipping this second one. And then I'm also going to do this third one. I'm just going to have that nice and plain. Now giving it its time to then cook on that underside. It will get a bit smoky as it continues to cook, so if you've got an extractor fan, I'd put that on, or if you can open a couple windows, I'd be doing that, just because it will get a bit smoky. We don't want your fire alarms going off in your home. Do have your plate ready, whether it's your serving plate or one that you're just going to put these onto, but there's all different other things that you could have with these. If you go with it just a plain pancake, maybe you do it as a breakfast and have your have bacon with it and some maple syrup, or you go traditional and just that lemon and sugar. So I'm going to take that off because I've obviously overdone my chocolate pieces. And that'll be why it's smoking a bit more. So definitely add a bit more flavour to our pancake, and I'll just leave that one to cook. So in a nutshell, that's how to make our pancakes. Please do have a go at doing this. You'll have hopefully more success and more enjoyment. And if you send any pictures or any quick videos of what you've done, and you can send that through to my email address, which is etuck@rawmarsh.org, as I would really love to see what you're doing, and any other cooking that you might be doing, please do send through. Okay, so that is my pancakes, and I hopefully will see some pictures from you soon. See you later.